if I can do this. Okay, before we get started, I just want to say that there are people who dedicate decades of their life to figuring out sustainable solutions to some environmental problems that we're having in the world. And Corrie Zoll's here tonight to show you how to do it in less than 7 minutes.
This is a roof deck. It's a self-adhesive roof waterproofing membrane.
Construction is by its nature, sort of a violent act. When we start a building, we tear open the earth, we dig this hole, we plunk this sort of dumb box down on it. And the idea behind a green roof is that you just take that area of vegetation that you destroyed and you lift it up and put it on top of the building instead of having it underneath the building. Green roofs are technology that have been around for literally thousands of years. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon were built in about 600 BC. And they popped up again and again through history. Right now, we're sort of in the largest resurgence of green roofs in history. Here in Minnesota, we've got a lot of natural water. And as we build our cities, we put down more asphalt, more concrete, more roofing. And the effect that that has is the stormwater that comes down just tends to sheet right into our natural bodies of water. And when it does that, it picks up a lot of trash and pollutants and contaminants and heat. It deposits that all in our lakes and rivers. And what a green roof can do, just as an example, a green roof on a two-car garage, on a 1-inch rain event, a 1-inch rainstorm, it would collect about 250 gallons of water would fall on that roof. A green roof could take at least 200 gallons of that and just hold it on the roof for the plants to use. Any water that does flow off the roof, if it's a particularly big rainstorm, would actually be cleaner and cooler by the time it gets to the lakes and rivers. And the nice thing about it is it catches the rain right at the source, right out of the sky. So we're not spending a lot of money. We're not spending a lot of money on infrastructure that just gets buried in the ground. We can keep coming up with solutions like this. They're very expensive. Ultimately, just get covered up with dirt. Or we can invest a little bit of that money into green roof solutions like this, which seems a little nicer.
Let's say I've got a roof barrier to keep the roots from destroying your roof, some insulation to keep the plants from thawing out in the wintertime, and some filter fabric and a burlap sack from Peace Coffee.
Another result of increased paving and hard surfaces in our cities is the urban heat island effect, where the cities actually radiate heat back up into the atmosphere and increase the summertime temperature. These are two maps in New York. The map on the left is vegetation, the map on the right is summer temperature, and you can see how those things line up. And green roofs can address that because they actually allow the building to sweat. On a hot day, a green roof can release about 5 gallons of water as the plants draw up that moisture and release it out through their leaves. And that cools the building, it cools the roof, it cools the immediate vicinity, and you put enough of those together, and you can cool a whole city. A green roof on a two-car garage will release 5 gallons of water, which is the same as 57 bottles of Guinness beer. Another thing that happens when we sprawl our cities out with all these hard surfaces is we lose habitat, those little green fringes around our towns, as the cities start to touch their edges. Green roofs can replace a lot of that habitat right in the center of the city. Birds, butterflies, bees, they'll roost on roofs that are 20, 25 stories up in the air. Air quality is another big issue, particularly in developing countries. A green roof on a garage, a two-car garage, will provide enough oxygen for 25 people. And it won't just provide that much oxygen, it'll actually clean the air. It'll take about 16 pounds of particulate matter out of the air over the course of a year. So it doesn't just create oxygen, it actually cleans the air that we're breathing. What are you doing, Corrie?
It's an engineered lightweight growing medium. Unfortunately, you still have to buy that from a store.
Buildings, traditional roofs on buildings like asphalt shingles are very hot. They can be like 75, 80 degrees hotter than the ambient temperature on a hot day. And a green roof can actually cool the building by shading it. And it can also keep it warm in the winter because of that added mass on the roof. They don't just block sound or just block thermal variation, they also block sound. A green roof will make a building about 40 decibels quieter than what's going on outside, which is the difference between stereo and a quiet conversation. So we can plant these roofs for habitat, for stormwater, for beauty, for acoustics, for all these things. Food production is another thing that we can do. The average meal in the U.S. I think travels something like 1,500 miles on its way to your dinner plate.
Awesome.
So if we can take some of that agriculture and move it right into the heart of the city on these green roofs, we can increase the quality of the produce, decrease its cost, increase food security, burn less fossil fuels in getting into our cities, and take advantage of that sort of lost landscape of the roof that we underutilize right now. You're doing great. Another thing green roofs can do is they can reduce municipal waste. Right now, about 3% of all the waste that goes into landfills is asphalt shingles from re-roofing projects. And a roof membrane on a green roof is protected from the UV and the thermal swings that tear buildings apart. And so a membrane will last 2 or 3 times longer, so we can take a lot of waste out of that waste stream. Almost done. Which brings us to this program Corrie and I are working on called RoofBloom. It's a collaboration between the Minnesota Green Roofs Council, the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District, Cermak Roads Architects, and Edmonton Olivier Resources. And we'll be doing workshops over the course of the summer, both sort of classroom sessions and hands-on workshops to teach homeowners how to install and maintain a green roof on their garage or their porch or their shed or their outbuilding of some kind. So if you're interested, you can just come to our website, which is www.roofbloom.org, and send us a little note. We'll keep you posted, and we'll teach you how to do this, just like Corrie.
Awesome.